Welcome back to Fire Force Anime Review, episode number 15. This is doing the 19th episode of the anime for Fire Force Into the Nether, and the 198th chapter of the manga, Memories of Flower Garden. Yep, this episode, and I just looked through the chapters. Okay, now, they adapt mostly, they go from 66, 71, but as for 66, they just adapt like the last few pages of the chapter. Yeah, there's still a small portion of the chapter that wasn't adapted, involving Iris and Vulcan's assistant. Yeah, for some reason that wasn't adapted. They adapted most of chapter 67, except for the last page and the start of chapter 68. But from that point forward, they do pretty much the entire chapter right there. 69, mostly everything is there. 70, just by half the chapter. And 71, half the chapter. Now, here's kind of the thing we do with this particular episode. This particular episode right here, the episode starts off in another world. Now, this is mostly. Now, the episode starts off surprisingly, like, and it starts off with, like, inside of like a barrel. I think it's, if I remember correctly, I think it's inside of like the factory. Yeah, that's where that's where the episode starts off. It starts off pretty much with, like, toward like the end of chapter 66. It covers, like, in the first like few minutes of the episode, covers like one, two, three, like pretty much the like 3 pages from chapter 66. Yeah, and that's all covered in the first few minutes, basically. With, you have Giovanni arriving in another world with Lisa, and you have Shira basically just preparing, Shao basically preparing for his brother's arrival. And that's pretty much the beginning of the episode. And of course, we cut back to the headquarters of the Fire Force, well, Company 8, where they decided to go down another world. Now, mostly put this episode does keep a lot of stuff in related to this particular portion of the arc. Yes, you might think, okay, they go 6671. They probably adapt about 6 chapters this thing. Not really, no. Heck, there are portions of these chapters that weren't adapted. Okay, so this is how they go to another world. They get there via the matchbox, and Vulcan's the one driving the matchbox to there, with Victor Light in the front seat. And pretty much the night before they go to another world, it's mostly about the same meeting. They all talk about basically about how the another world used to be the Tokyo subway system. Yep, that's another world in a nutshell. It used to be the subway system, and it's haunted. And apparently it's declared off limits by the temple. For some reason, the series is about to explain it. So they get permission from the temple, because why not? Because they're a special company. So they all go down there, the entire Company 8, and yeah, the entire group. Nobody stays behind this time, unlike when they went to go team up with Company 7, where all but Iris stayed behind. All but Iris basically went there. This time, it's like the entire group, and they arrive at the entrance of the world. Now, they do add a change here. Now, we have Iris basically doing a prayer before they go in, and then the doors automatically open. Now, in the manga, it's never explained who the heck opened the doors. In the anime, it was Vulcan by pressing a button. Yep, and they go in, and Shira himself, now, prior to them going here, during the night before, he gets a dream, and he sees the first pillar. Yes, this is technically her first appearance in the anime. The first pillar, and he's of course referred to as the fourth pillar. It's one people who has the Akuma burst, is its connecting thing. And the first pillar has a striking resemblance to Iris. As far as I know, the series is never about to explain this. Later on, you see, when we're on the way to another world, you see him looking at Sister Iris, and then he's sort of blushing at her. Now, it's a little different than the manga. In the manga, his whole face is red. In the anime, just basically his cheeks a little more rosier than usual for his little blushing moment. Yeah. I mean, it's not suggested that he's in love with Sister Iris. It's just that, well, he just was caught looking at her in a very different way. He normally looks at her, and he sort of gets blushed at because, well, the thing is, when it comes to Shira, like, it seems as though, like, every single woman he's met the whole series has gotten attraction to him. Pretty much, like, all the women in his unit, all 3 level ladies, have all got a thing for him. Heck, even the company captain of Company 5, Captain Hebra, She has Think Firm too. And here's kind of this thing that when they run into the world, like they get in there and they smoke screen and they don't see Shira. He disappears. It's never explained why they cut out his portion thing where he sees Commander Hybera. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly why they cut that out for. It's particularly very weird. Yeah, and then we also see a few different segments here. We see Tamaki go off with Iris off someplace with another person who looks like her. And like in the manga, she simply put just when I try to figure who is the real one, having her trip over like the little bunny ears thing that she does normally, and then she trips over a train track, and then she miraculously strips completely naked, just like in the manga. It only took 19 episodes for this to happen. Yeah, usually when stuff like this happens to her, usually involves Shira, which she does develop attraction to. She's become like she was the second woman officially who developed feelings for him. First, of course, being Captain Habra. Yep, and then of course to figure out who the old man is. Yeah, figure out it's the old man posing as her, and of course she gets her clothes back on. Then chases finds a assault guy, and they fight him for a small portion of the episode, and he's taken out by Sister. Now they do make some slight changes here, like for instance, like she actually lands her butt in his face when she lands on him, and she also holds up her rear end to him. They actually cut that out of the anime. Yeah, they show that apparently she has her pants down, and she shows off her butt to him, and they don't show her butt, which okay, fine. Maybe they got that nudity, I'm not no idea. First, they do. It's kind of similar scene to when Shira first met Iris first met Tsubaki, where first he puts his hand on her breast, just like this guy does pretty much the same thing. Acts with hand on the breast, and of course, she. The good news is he doesn't grope her butt like Shira did when they first met. Actually, when the second time when they tried to talk to him. Yep, and then of course, fires his bullets at her, and of course he and of course another guy basically don't like fighting women, and he gets beaten by Sister Iris and Tabaki. Of course, the Iris basically beats him by beating him over the head with a frickin' lead pipe, and they get away. It's like, yeah, let's just get away and just walk away here. Maki, of course, her portion of the particular fight, which is taken from Chapter 70, it's mostly intact. There's nothing really changed here. She just finds the guy who Shira fought in the last arc, and she just basically summons our weapons, puts her little flame in there, and beats the crap out of him and his guys, and she walks away. Of course, she also, when she first entered here, had her flame just like she did at the start, not like she normally does, and of course, Lieutenant doesn't like when she does this, but normal lights, whatever. As for the Captain and Vulcan, well, they're together, and you see them briefly, like the kind of like I'm thinking it's thicker here, and they run into each other. I think it's the real one because Kurosaki points out though about Vulcan's goggles, which unlike in the manga, you get close up with the goggles. In the anime, it's a little bit farther away. Yeah, but this is kind of weird though. Second episode in a row, and the main character disappears. Like unlike in last week's episode where unlike the last episode where he disappeared halfway through the episode. This one, he disappears toward the very end. Maybe they're going to swing back to do what he saw there. Maybe in a future episode, it's possible. But there's no trailer for next week. Yeah, it's our few series of where the original for the wearing his pride, which might explore the whole thing between Vulcan, Obi, and versus Lisa and Giovanni. That's probably going to be explored in next week's episode, but who knows? It just depends on what David Studio is going to do. Yeah, I'd say they did an okay job here, but I'm still wondering why did they still not fully basically if you look at basically how the anime is down to chapter 66 so far, third episode they get to 66, and in this episode they adapt as this episode, they pretty much have almost the entire chapter, except for like 3 pages. Yep. 6, 7, mostly everything here except for like the last page, and of course the starter like chapter 60, mostly put it's mostly the same that point forward. And in the case of 69, they cut out like half the freaking chapter. Yeah, that's something quite weird that they cut like half. Like it's like for 69 and 70. They don't adapt the entire thing in this episode. They adapt like portions of it. They adapt like the fight where you have Maki versus dragon, and of course you have Iris and Tabaki versus another member of the White Clan soldiers. Yep. And that's pretty much the episode in a nutshell. My guess is they'll probably adapt the rest of the stuff that was skipped over in this episode. Maybe either in next week's episode or the following episode. Who knows? And in case you're wondering how many episodes are left to go for this entire season, after this episode, there's only 5 left. Yep, 5 more. And then the season will be done. Yeah. So, do I think that they might do what JC Staff did One Punch Man, just adapt portions of these chapters and save some for the next chapter? They might do that. It's possible. But it all depends what Studio Dave wants going to do. I have to wait until Friday to find out exactly what's going to happen in Into the Pride. Yep. So overall, they only adapted for this episode mostly about 2 chapters. Yeah, I'd say, like, if you look at 69, 67, and 68, have been mostly adapted for this episode. 69 and 70 got like half the freaking chapters cut out. 71, they only adapted about the first 11 pages of the chapter. Yeah, that's but what it is. Yep. But as for the episode in a nutshell, pretty good. I like the fact we finally get to the scene where, if you read in the manga, basically, in case you're wondering when, like, there's a clip on the wiki site where Tabaki goes actually completely naked. That happens in chapter 70. Yep, and it happens again. Yep. Now for the new chapter of the manga, Memories of Flower Garden. Chapter starts off, we have Captain Hebra go to her old convent. And it's a flashback, basically everyone praying at this particular convent. And she apparently has not been here since of course, when almost all of the sisters, with the exception of her and Iris, returned to Infernos. Yep. So she goes to prayer to them. And we see that, yeah, the place is pretty much in ruins. We see one of her subordinates basically staying outside because he really needs to come in. And of course, we see a bit of a flashback. Everybody basically wondering, like one guy asking one of the team members out, like you set up, you look good for what kind of man you are. The only woman who would buy into our morons. Yeah, of course, he just happened to be the one coming along. Yep. And of course, you're really a creep. Why is Company 5 nothing but creeps? Oh, hold me tight. Yeah, she only has one guy, basically, she has a thing for, and he's in Company 8. And she just has Hinaba. Yeah, that's it, Hinaba. Of course, she goes to the flashback of when she was younger with Iris. And of course, where the Mother Superior is basically being, let's say, strict with them, and lots of talking to Chen, basically just remembering stuff. And of course, I swear, St. John's, like, have a revenge. Looks around, walks about, looks at time, frequency dropped, goes a little bit further in, sees the altar. Beneath the altar holds the mystery of the doppelgangers. Ooh, interesting. And that's the chapter. Next chapter is Assembling Truth. Yeah, for the start of a new arc. It's like this whole chapter is focused on Hinaba, and she's like the only person who actually is a regular character who appears in this particular chapter. The other guy is just some random guy who just appears in Company 5. She just probably brought him along as a bodyguard because he was hitting on one of the female members of the group of her company because he just felt like it. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the chapter nutshell. The flashbacks are fine. They're seeing this chapter, seeing for her childhood, is perfectly fine. It's a bit of expansion, basically, was shown previously in the arc that pretty much explained her backstory. But I think the chapter itself is just okay. It's got good artwork. But it just seems as though it's like the whole chapter just basically her remembering stuff and her slowly walking through the ruins of his church. and of course have a bit of flashback of our company headquarters. Yeah, that's all you can say that happened this chapter. Mm-hmm. But the next chapter, 199, is called Assembling Truth, which hopefully a lot more interesting this chapter. Yep, I'm gonna give this chapter roughly 8 out of 10. It's a big step down from the last chapter. It's nothing really against the flashback stuff here. It just feels as though that this chapter was a bit slow of pace, and it just now I'm not expecting like action per se in every chapter. I just like to see the progression of the series go forward. It just seems as though this is just a character chapter for this one character, and maybe we're gonna stick with this character. Maybe we can explore her backstory. Who knows? I think she's a great character, and it's a shame though this episode didn't feature her at all. As a matter of fact, that's kind of the strange thing about the last few episodes. She's been barely featured. Like when she went to see Vulcan, for example. Like her basically, she got beaten by Shiro's brother, and it wasn't even shown in the anime for some reason. I don't know why, but it's particularly very weird. hmm Yeah. So yeah, that's it for this particular review. I would do one more review, but I'm out of time. So tomorrow, basically, expect about 3 videos tomorrow. A review of the newest episode of My Hero Academia, or the new chapter manga. Case closed, and my final part, hopefully, for Flames of Rekka. Okay? See you next view. Bye.